a group of 6 astronauts on an expedition to Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Until now, it was believed that Europa was simply covered in ice, with nothing beneath but snow. However, the astronauts soon discovered that there's much more hidden under the frozen surface. At the start of the movie, we see Europa as a moon completely encased in ice. In recent years, though, NASA scientists have uncovered evidence that beneath this icy exterior lies liquid water, and thermal activity has been detected, suggesting the possibility of living organisms. This part of the story is based on actual scientific findings, where NASA discovered signs of potential life below Europa's surface, where single-celled organisms could potentially develop in the water. In the movie, a private space company called Europa Ventures sends 6 astronauts on a mission to Europa. Their objective is to determine whether any life forms exist on Europa and assess the potential for life to evolve there. The team consists of Mission Commander William, biologists Daniel and Katya, engineers Andre and James, and their pilot Rosa. Initially, everything seems to be going smoothly. The crew is excited to become the first humans to land on Europa, filled with anticipation and hope for the exciting discoveries that may await them. 12 months have slowly passed since the mission began, with the spaceship now 150 million miles away from Earth and just a few months from reaching Europa. Initially, the crew had been full of excitement, eager to make history, but after spending a year confined within the spaceship, their morale has faded, and anxiety has begun to take its toll on each member. Then, disaster strikes. A solar flare hits the ship, exposing it to intense radiation and severely damaging their main system. To understand the damage and make repairs, engineers Andre and James suit up and head outside the ship. Time is critical. They have limited oxygen, and the clock is ticking. After 70 minutes of hard work, Andre and James identify the issue and begin fixing it. However, just as they start making progress, a stray piece of metal punctures Andre's suit, causing his oxygen to leak. Realizing the severity of the situation, James rushes to get Andre back inside before it's too late. As they approach the airlock, they are met with devastating news from the crew. During the repair, hydrogen had leaked onto James's suit. If he re-enters, it would contaminate the ship's environment, putting everyone inside at risk. There's no way for James to return safely. In a moment of desperation, Andre suggests a dangerous plan. James will have to remove his suit outside in the vacuum of space, allowing him to be pulled inside quickly. It's a risky move. Exposure to space without a suit, even for a few seconds, is deadly. But Andre's oxygen is running out, and he's on the verge of passing out. With no other options, James pushes Andre into the airlock to save him. James, knowing there's no chance of returning, makes the ultimate sacrifice. He drifts away from the ship, saying a final goodbye to his family. As he watches the ship disappear into the distance, he knows his fate is sealed. Floating alone in the vast expanse of space, James awaits the inevitable. Inside the ship, the crew is devastated by the loss of their colleague and friend. Andre, saved by James's selflessness, is racked with guilt, feeling responsible for his death. After a few more months, the ship finally arrived at Europa. The crew began orbiting the frozen moon, preparing for the next phase of their mission. According to plan, they boarded a small shuttle from the mothership to land on Europa's icy surface. However, due to an error during the landing, they ended up slightly off course, far from their intended target. With radiation levels outside being dangerously high, none of the crew could step out of the shuttle. Instead, they started drilling through the ice at a nearby location, hoping to extract water samples from beneath the frozen surface. The drilling machine was attached to the shuttle, allowing them to stay inside while the process continued. As time passed, they noticed something strange. The shuttle began to shift and move unexpectedly. Confused but not alarmed, the crew assumed they had landed on a floating sheet of ice that was naturally moving. Despite the movement, the crew pressed on, aware that the temperature on Europa was dropping, which could increase the radiation exposure. With nightfall approaching, the vibrations of the shuttle grew stronger as the temperature continued to plummet. The situation became increasingly tense, and it was during one of these unsettling vibrations that Andre spotted something mysterious outside the shuttle. Startled, Andre quickly tried to capture the strange lights he saw beneath the ice with the shuttle's camera, but he missed the opportunity. Frustrated, he hurried to the control room to tell the rest of the crew about what he had seen. He described seeing unusual lights moving beneath the surface of the ice. The crew checked the camera footage, but due to the interference caused by radiation, nothing was clearly visible. Most of the crew dismissed Andre's claims, thinking he might have been overly impulsive or tired from the long mission. They decided to get some rest, brushing off the sighting as a result of his imagination. But Andre couldn't sleep. He was certain that what he had seen was real, and he felt compelled to investigate further, determined to uncover the truth behind the strange lights beneath the ice. After many hours of drilling, the crew's machine finally broke through the icy surface of Europa. Using the camera attached to the drill, they got their first glimpse of the water beneath the ice. The view was breathtaking. The water was a pristine, clear blue, completely undisturbed. Excitement surged through the crew as they sent a robotic probe into the water to collect samples. They all watched eagerly as the camera fed back images from beneath the ice. But soon, something strange began to happen. The camera footage started to glitch, and they felt unfamiliar vibrations. At first, they thought the vibrations were coming from the surface, but soon they realized that they were originating from deep within the water itself. Curious and cautious, the crew decided to send the camera further down to investigate the source of the vibrations. As they guided the camera lower, they noticed a glowing light in the water. Before they could fully understand what it was, the unknown object struck their camera. The connection to the machine collecting samples was abruptly severed, and the screen went black. The crew was left staring at nothing, their hopes of collecting data dashed. Frustrated, Katya suggested going outside to gather the samples herself. The rest of the crew objected, knowing it would be extremely dangerous to send someone out in such unpredictable conditions. The radiation levels, the unknown vibrations, and the possibility of further damage made it a risky endeavor. However, the need for the samples was critical, and Katya, determined to complete the mission, decided to take the risk. Donning the specialized Socrates suit, Katya became the first human to set foot on Europa. Daniel monitored her closely from inside, analyzing her every move and tracking her through the communication system. As Katya moved across the frozen surface, she collected various samples, and after some time, she made a groundbreaking discovery: clear evidence of life beneath Europa's icy crust. The entire crew was overjoyed, as this was the moment they had worked toward for years. Their research had finally been validated. As they urged Katya to return to the shuttle, she began packing up her equipment, but then something caught her eye: a distant light glowing faintly in the dark. Curiosity got the better of her, and Katya decided to investigate, moving toward the light. The crew watched anxiously through the camera in her helmet, and as she approached, they realized something unsettling. The heat radiations they had detected earlier were moving along with the light. Katya, driven by curiosity, turns off the light of her helmet to get a clearer view of the mysterious glow beneath the ice. She begins to follow the light, cautiously moving closer. However, as she approaches, disaster strikes. The ice beneath her feet gives way, and she plunges into the freezing water below. In an instant, the connection between Katya and the shuttle is severed, leaving the crew in shock and fear. Inside the shuttle, panic sets in as they scramble to track her. The readings show something terrifying. Katya isn't just drifting in the water. She's moving rapidly, as though something is pulling her deeper beneath the surface. The crew checks the last visual feed from her helmet, and what they see sends chills down their spines. Katya's face is frozen in fear, her eyes wide with terror as a strange blue light reflects in them. Then, without warning, the video feed cuts out completely, leaving the crew in stunned silence. For a brief moment, they are paralyzed by the horror of what has just happened, but they quickly gather their thoughts. The crew begins to suspect that Katya may have been attacked by some kind of advanced organism, a life form that has evolved to an entirely different stage beneath Europa's icy surface. With Katya lost, the crew knows they need to act fast. 2 members of their team have now perished, and they realize that it's crucial to return to Earth with the data they've collected. They prepare the shuttle for takeoff, knowing they need to reach the mothership orbiting above Europa and report everything they've discovered. However, just as they're about to launch, something goes wrong. A malfunction occurs, and instead of ascending into space, the shuttle begins to plummet back toward Europa's surface. The crew braces for impact, knowing that a crash would be catastrophic. Captain William, realizing the severity of the situation, makes a split-second decision. He unbuckles his seatbelt and moves to activate the water shield, an emergency measure that could protect them from the worst of the crash. His quick thinking saves the crew, but the price is high. The shuttle crashes violently onto Europa's surface, knocking everyone unconscious. The water shield deploys just in time, cushioning the impact and preventing the shuttle from being destroyed. After a few tense moments, the crew begins to regain consciousness. Slowly, they open their eyes, shaken but alive. However, as they assess the situation, they make a devastating discovery. Captain William, who had unbuckled his seatbelt to save the crew, was fatally injured during the crash. He had been thrown violently inside the shuttle and now lay lifeless. Another member of the team had sacrificed their life for the mission. By this point, the ice beneath the shuttle had become increasingly unstable, continuously shifting. To make matters worse, the water shield that had protected the shuttle during the landing was damaged, raising the risk of dangerous radiation seeping in. The temperature inside the shuttle was also steadily dropping, adding another layer of danger. Only 3 crew members remained: Andrei, Rosa, and Daniel, each struggling to survive as conditions worsened. Determined to reach the mothership still orbiting above, they knew the shuttle had to be repaired, but it was impossible to fix everything from inside. Andrei and Daniel made the the difficult decision to venture outside in their suits, while Rosa stayed behind to reset the shuttle's engine from within. Time was of the essence. Oxygen levels were critically low, leaving them with very little time to succeed. The moment Daniel stepped outside, he noticed something moving beneath the ice. Before he could react, a strange life form, like the one Katya had encountered, grabbed him and pulled him beneath the surface in the blink of an eye. Andre and Rosa watched the horrifying scene unfold through the camera, stunned and helpless. Now, only the two of them remained, knowing full well that Andre couldn't repair the shuttle on his own. With their options dwindling, Andre came up with a bold plan. They needed to fix the shuttle's communication system so that they could transmit all the video recordings they had captured back to Earth. However, this meant turning off the shuttle's life support systems, essentially sacrificing themselves to send the vital data. Andre suited up and went outside alone, determined to carry out the plan. As he worked, the mysterious lights began surrounding him, just as they had with Daniel. Despite the danger, Andre managed to repair the communication box, completing the mission before he was pulled under by the unknown creature lurking beneath the ice. Back inside the shuttle, Rosa, knowing what was coming, made one final deliberate move. She unlocked the airlock in front of the camera, ensuring that everything would be captured on video. Their last transmission to Earth would reveal the horrifying truth about the life form on Europa's surface, a creature of immense danger that they had uncovered during their mission. As the data streamed back to Earth, the camera captured the final moments. Water began flooding the shuttle, and from the depths, a creature with glowing tentacles slowly emerged, moving closer and closer toward the camera. The screen went dark, and the movie ended with a haunting silence. And that's how the story ends. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.